Hello, this is Joseph Silva. In today's news, a big story is about the punitive tariffs that the current administration has placed on imports into the United States. So the first thing we want to dispel is the idea that these tariffs are paid by the foreign government in order to get permission to get their goods into the United States, which is a position the president has taken. They are import duties. They are paid by the importer. Products coming into the United States, duty is paid by the U.S. importer. Products going into Canada, duty is paid by the Canadian importer, and so on. They are inflationary, and there are other problems. So today we'll try to deal with all of that. Here is an example of the tariff situation with Cambodia. We are hearing that Cambodia, as of today, is willing to negotiate with the Trump administration. What are they out to negotiate? The very high tariffs. Here is a slide Cambodian product that shows the current tariff in the United States. From the harmonized tariff schedule of the United States, 13.2% on handkerchiefs. Cambodia does sell a lot of textile products to the United States, and it buys a lot of industrial goods. The increase, the new Trump tariffs, are an extra 49%, which makes the total 62.2% on handkerchiefs from Cambodia coming into the United States. I give you an example of how that wholesale price and tariff can affect the pricing of handkerchiefs being sold in the United States all the way up to the price to the consumer. Now, I'm making up the numbers, but I'm not making up the tariff. Adding in the tariff increase, I give you another set of numbers as to what the pricing might be like. So in this particular model, the pricing to the consumer would go up by 25%. So that in itself is inflationary if we keep buying the handkerchiefs from Cambodia. Another alternative is to build a factory here and make the handkerchiefs. And we have to buy the land, build a factory, buy the equipment, put in conveyor belts, buy forklifts, do all those many steps before we be ready to have the factory turn out its first handkerchief. This might take 6 months, a year, 2 years. Construction and outfitting costs and time frames can vary, but it will take some time to do it, and it will cost some money to do it. Why do we want to do it? Well, we want to do it to make extra profit. We'll only be able to make extra profit if we can figure out a way to make the handkerchiefs here in the United States for less than $1.62.2, because that is the total price for the importer bringing the goods into the United States. Now we're counting the wholesale price and the tariff, but not the transportation costs across the Pacific. Likewise, we're not counting transportation costs of bringing materials into our factory here or shipping goods out to the customer. So it's a little oversimplified, but we are focusing on the pricing and on the tariffs. The other factors also still exist, but we want to keep the length of the video reasonable. It would be very hard with our labor costs versus Cambodia's labor costs to be able to undercut that price. But supposing we can, and we figure out how to do it for $1.50 with a factory that we built here in the United States. That gives us an extra 12.2 cents profit each time we make a sale as the manufacturer who used to be the importer. And then there's profit for the distributor and the retailer along the way. So that's an extra 12.2 cents profit. How much does it cost to build this factory? Let's say it's $5 million. $5 million factory, and let's say we make $100,000 a year extra profit by making the handkerchiefs here, because you can only count the extra 12.2 cents as extra profit versus the profit we were making either way. So if we do that, $5 million to build a factory and an extra $100,000 profit each year, it will take us 50 years before we pay off the cost of the factory. So if we proceed with building the factory, we're assuming that tariffs will stay in effect for a minimum of 50 years. Otherwise, we'll take a loss on building the factory. It will never pay itself off completely. If the tariffs go away, that punitive tariff goes away, and the cost to us as importers is down to $1.13.2, and it's costing us $1.50 to make them in our factory, we may as well just close the doors of our factory rather than keep losing money and just go back to importing, accept the loss on our venture with the factory in the United States. If you're on the board of directors, you will be thinking twice, 3 times, 4 times before you decide to build this factory or not, because you are making a decision based on not knowing what the future holds. None of us can really tell the future, but the future of these tariffs are really pretty shaky, because the administration is talking about keeping these tariffs in effect until the other countries reduce their tariffs. And that could happen tomorrow, it could happen next year, it could happen in 50 years, it could happen in 75 years, or the United States might just decide in the next few months or the next few years, this just isn't working, it's too rough on the US economy and the world economy, let's just have everybody return the tariffs back to normal. The odds of those tariffs not lasting for 50 years are really pretty good. The administration has talked about them as a negotiating tool. Our major trading partner seems to have dug in their heels pretty solidly. But if countries like Cambodia come along and say, okay, we will reduce the duty on everything coming into Cambodia from the United States to 0, and we're happy with the US tariffs the way they were, just get rid of the punitive tariffs of 49%. And if this is carried out, then our handkerchief situation goes right back to the old model. We don't need our factory. If we started building it, well, that's the way it goes. We have an empty factory we don't need because we'll be losing too much money every time we make a handkerchief. At 0% duty, will Cambodia increase their imports from the United States? How? With what funds, because they're a very poor country, and what is it they both need and can afford? I would not expect the imports to increase dramatically. They would not run out and buy new Boeing jets in quantity for their airline. One reason is because Air Cambodia only has 5 airplanes now, and it seems to be doing okay without needing to buy any more jets. So there's no reason for them to buy jets from Boeing, or from Airbus, or from anybody. So their consumption is likely to remain pretty much the same. However long these import duties last, it's going to be rough on the economy. One will be the inflation that we've already discussed. The second is because of inflation, people will be, one, buying fewer goods, because when they're spending 25% more on their necessities, they don't have enough money left to buy all the non-necessities they want. If we say there are needs, wants, and wishes, a lot of people are going to be struggling just to pay for their needs. And as far as the wants and the wishes, the money might not be there. So people will buy hamburger instead of steak, which economists call a strategy of substitution, buying the cheaper product instead of the more expensive product to stretch their dollars. In this case, it doesn't matter whether the meat is imported or not. It's just we're trying to save money every place we can. If the inflation rate on imported products goes up anywhere near 25%, it's going to be very rough on the economy, and we will have, as many economists have already predicted, a period of serious stagflation. That's when we have inflation and the economy is stagnant, if not shrinking. If the price of the imported goods goes up 25%, 15%, or even 10% in a year, that will be a shock to the economy, and it'll be a shock for the consumers. It's going to be very rough on the economy, and we will have, as many economists have already predicted, a period of serious stagflation. That's when we have inflation and the economy is stagnant, if not shrinking. If the price of the imported goods goes up 25%, 15%, or even 10% in a year, that will be a shock to the economy, and it'll be a shock for the consumers. Price increases, we can't afford steak, we'll buy hamburger. Instead of going on a vacation trip, we'll have a staycation here at home. So the whole economy will tend to slow down. As it slows down, there will be layoffs. This means less money circulating in the economy, because once people are on unemployment, they tend to spend less money than they will bring in a regular paycheck, especially if it looks like really hard times, and it might be quite a while before the person can find a new job. Economists call this a theory of substitution. People who are planning a nice vacation trip, spending some money touring the country, may decide to take a staycation at home. And once people start being laid off, or they see their neighbors starting to be laid off, they really tighten their belts. Either they're on unemployment insurance themselves and they're having a tough time, or they see what's happening to their neighbors and are concerned that they might be next, and a vicious circle starts to develop. That inflation continues, unemployment grows, employment goes down, and it's just not a good situation for us. So those are our 3 points from here. Let me sum up. 1, these are inflationary. There are people in the administration who deny it, but these are inflationary. Companies will probably hesitate on making the products here because of being unsure about how long the tariffs might last. Therefore, we'll be paying those higher prices on the higher cost imported goods with the higher tariffs, and will not have domestic alternatives in many cases. People are going to wait and see. If the tariffs are cut to zero by the foreign country, it does not mean that they're going to increase their imports from the United States. I hope you found today's video interesting, and I have a link up here now for another video on why high tariffs are a rotten idea. So if you found today's video informative, I am sure you will find that one informative as well. Be sure to like and subscribe if you did find today's video informative and interesting, and click the notifications bell so you don't miss out on any of the other videos we'll have coming up soon. Also, I have some free material for you in the description below, as well as the sources for some of the information that I've used. Thank you for joining me today.